So we're going to start an animation project, which is a lot of fun, but it can be tedious. I'm going to provide a template for you to start with. So I'm going to go through the template and show you what's here. And to do that, I'd like to use the debugger. So first of all, there's a few imports at the top. And the very first line of code always is from the main method. And this is the main method. So we're going to start here. All right, so if I press the debug, it should stop us on this line, and now we can follow it through. Well, that line of code is going to create this object called FunGUI, which is actually right here, okay? So this is called instantiation. So it's instantiating the class. This is the class FunGUI. When you instantiate a class, you actually execute a very special method called a constructor, and it has the same name as the class, FunGUI. Here we are. So notice, if I press this go into this call button on the left, it should take me down to the constructor. And that's where our highlighted line is now. So I'm not going to go into each of these. I'm just going to show you. It's going to go through that. And that line of code takes us up there. We're going to go through these. And so the superclass set the title for our JFrame, and it also set the values that are up here, which are the fields in the class. That's what you just saw. Now we're going to go through the rest of this. This is just determining what the screen should look like. Set relative to null. It determines where it's going to put it on the screen. Now we'll be able to see it. There it is, not very exciting yet. And we're going to say ignore repaint. Okay, so we've just done that line of code. Then we I guess we don't need to do this again. Set location relative to null. We've already done that. What this line of code does, set default close operation. That means if I go over here and click the X, then the program will actually end. If I don't have that line of code and I hit the X, the program runs in the background and is still going, but you don't see anything, you can't interact with it, it just hasn't ended. So you need to end the program if you're going to close your window. So that's necessary. And now I'm going to go into this line of code, and I'm going to actually minimize that so we can see what's going on. This is a method in that FunGUI class. Everything now is going to happen in FunGUI. So there's a loop here, while true. While true, can that condition ever be false? No, there's no actual calculation that's happening for that condition. It's just going to be an endless loop, okay? So draw the buffer, draw the screen, sleep for 100 milliseconds, and do it all over again. That's what we're saying here. So let's go into draw buffer. Okay, draw buffer. We're going to create a drawing screen. We're going to draw a background layer. Let's go into this one. Oh, here it is. Set the color to blue. Okay, we'll set it to blue. Draw a rectangle that starts at 0, 0, which is the top left, and goes down to the width of the screen and the height of the screen, which are, where's width and height? Remember? Did we see that before? If I go up, look, fields of my class. Those are constant values defined up there. If I want to change the size of my screen, change it up here, it changes it all over the place because I'm using constant values. Okay, back to draw buffer and back to this. Okay, fill rect. This means we're going to draw a rectangle. It's going to be filled in with the color that is set, and that's the size from the XY coordinate at one corner to the XY coordinate at the other. So 0, 0, that's one corner of my rectangle. Width, height, that's the diagonal corner. and that's the size that the rectangle will be built at. Okay, do that. And where are we going now? We're going back to the animation layer. Oh, wow, that sounds cool. Whoops, I didn't go in it, but let's take a look at it. I didn't go in it because there's nothing here to look at. Okay, I'm leaving that up to you guys. Back where we are. Whoops. Foreground layer. Okay, I'm going to go into this one. Here's the foreground layer. We're still in our class, Fun GUI class, but it's empty too, because I'm not going to draw things for you. Or at least I'm not going to draw much for you. All right, so where am I? Finishing with the foreground layer, jumps back up here. We're done here with our graphics now, so we're going to dispose of it. And we've done draw buffer, draw screen. So I haven't seen much here happen. If I bring this up, it looks the same. I thought we drew a rectangle. Well, we did, but we drew it in the buffer. So what happens is we want all of our drawing to happen in the buffer. So we're not drawing one piece at a time visibly on the screen, because if we do that, it's going to be flickering. We're going to get something new here, something new there, and it's going to look all flickery to us. So we're not going to do that. We're going to draw it all in the buffer, and then when it comes time to drawing the picture, the finished picture, that happens in draw screen. Now where did draw screen? Here we are. So again, we need to get our graphics ready. Then we're going to take that buffer, which has our picture in it, and make an image out of it. Bam, that's done. And we put that on G, which is our graphics. Sync things up, dispose of it. Okay, now let's see. Let me go back and look. Nothing looks different yet. So now we're going to sleep. I'm going to bring this up again. I kind of expected it to look different. Now I'm going to say run it. So now you can see there's kind of timing that takes place between your screen refresh rate and because we're in the debugger, things don't look quite the same as they would if you just ran it normally. Okay, but that's what's going on. That's all that's going on now. We're back into that while loop again and back at draw buffer. And nothing will be drawn differently, so we won't see any animation. We won't see any different drawing on the screen. Okay, so what do I want you to do? Now that we've looked at this, I've laid out 1, 2, 3 layers for you. An animation layer, a background layer, and a foreground layer. In my mind, I'm envisioning a still background. And that's what I want you guys to start with, a still background. You can have a still foreground as well. But because we're putting layers down, maybe the background is what you want animated. So you can change the names of your layers once you decide what you want to do. So you can have an animated background layer, or you can have an animated foreground layer. That's up to you. I just set it up this way for you guys to get the hang of it and see what we're going to do, and then you guys design what you're going to put together. Okay. This thing here, set color, fill rect. If you have a lot of different rectangles you want to draw, for instance, if I take these and copy and paste, paste, and I decide that I want a red rectangle, I hope there's a yellow, I don't know, maybe there's no yellow. I don't know, is there purple? I don't think there's purple. You know what? I think we should go and create a new color. And inside here, we need to define red, blue, green. And I know that the numbers are between 0 and 256 or 255. So I'm going to put, how about I put 100 red, 100 blue, and no green and see what I come up with. If I look online, I can pick the color I like and look at the numbers that are provided for me in the color chooser and put those in, and I'll get exactly the color that I've set up. But I don't want to take the time to do that right now. So we've got our blue background. I don't want to take up the entire screen with the red one, because then I won't see the blue one anymore. So I'm going to put the red one down a little bit, say at 40. No, wait, that should be, yep, I think Y comes before X. So down a little bit, and actually maybe it's the other way around. Let's see, 100. We'll try that out, see if that, I think it's down and then over. So I think it goes YX, width and height. No, it must be XY, width, height. Okay, so XY, and then the yellow one I'm going to put in a different spot. But how big is my screen? Let me go look. Width of 800, height of 600. Okay, so width of 800. So I'll put this one at 750. And width of height of I forget, 800 and 600. Okay, I can't go lower than 600. Okay, I'm going to forget the number again, so I'm going to change something here. This one, I'm going to put this at 5 or 550. There. And this one, I'm going to put at 400. And I'll put this at 220. There. Okay, so setting the color to blue, drawing that, the background. Setting the color to red, drawing that rectangle. Setting the color to yellow, drawing that one. Setting the color to a lot of red, a lot of blue, no green, and drawing that one. I'm going to run this again and see what comes up. There, bunch of different rectangles. That doesn't look very purple. Red, green, blue. Oh. I'm going to change this to, and that. All right, let's see. Is this more purpley? That's more purpley, yes. Okay, so you see how you can create new colors. You see how you can draw rectangles. And I'm hoping you see this is pretty tedious to have two different lines of code for one rectangle. So we are going to wrap these two up in one method. Okay? I'm going to take these two and copy them, and down here there's a section called wrapper methods. I want to do those two lines of code at the same time for a rectangle. So I'm going to set up a method. So public, static, not static, public void rectangle. And for the information here, we have a color, we have 1xy and 2xy's. So that's 5 different pieces of information we have to give for a rectangle at this point in time. So I have a color. That's type color, and we'll say it's variable C. We have an x1, and that's an integer, int x1. We have a y1, also an integer. We have an int x2 and an int y2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces of information coming into our method. And we want to use those variables instead of hard coding our colors and our sizes. So we're going to use the variable C for the color. we're going to use an X1, Y1 for the first point, for one point of our rectangle. And we're going to change to X2, Y2 for the other point of our rectangle. So color X, Y, X, Y. If I go back and now I say rectangle, color blue, X, Y, whoops, X, Y, it matches, but wait a minute, there's a B in the front here. These are also input values, and I'm missing them. So this isn't going to quite work until I also pass in the B. But what is B? This is what B is. It's a graphics 2D. So that has to be included in the input that I'm providing for my rectangle. Because otherwise, where's B coming from? We're using that down here as well. Okay? Input values can sometimes be at the front of the dot. All right, we have rectangle with all the information in it. It's going to go down and do everything that these two lines of code would do with the values I'm giving it. So it's called a wrapper method because we're wrapping pieces that go together to make the rectangle. So to make a rectangle, you have to have a color. You have to know where you're drawing it. You have to know the size of it. So now I can take each of these things and replace two lines with the one. Okay. Oh, I left those at the width and the height. Let's change that just for fun. So from 40, let's go over to 120 and down to, the height is actually working down. So we're starting at 100. Let's go down to 300 just to make it slightly different. I'm going to put rectangle here. And I'm going to join these two lines together with the information needed below. I can change that width and height too if I feel like it. Here's my new color. So I've got my color there, XY, XY. Maybe I'll change this too just for fun. Well, we're already so far down with the 220 and maybe I won't go quite to the width. Maybe I'll go over to 350 there. Okay, will it even compile? Did I mess something up? I did. Cannot be applied to given types. Oh my goodness, I forgot the B. B dot. You guys probably noticed that way before I pressed compile. You said, that's not gonna work. She forgot the B dot. My graphics. Okay, run this. And there we go. I have the background rectangle, the blue one. I have the red one right here, the yellow one over here, and my new color one down here. So what I'm going to get you to do is to create your own wrapper method for a rectangle. And try to draw some rectangles on your screen. Now, I also want to show you a polygon because I would like for you to make a special kind of polygon we call a triangle, because that's how you draw triangles on your screen. So I'm going to show you how to draw a triangle using the set color plus the call to triangle and ask you to see if you can actually create the wrapper method yourself. It's a little bit harder because the polygon takes 2 arrays as input, but you've been using arrays as input, so I expect you can figure it out. If not, you know where to find me by email, right? So set color first. We're going to have b.setColor, and notice you can't spell it Canadian. It has to be American. All right, so what color am I going to use? I'm going to use, I think cyan as a color, so I'll use that. And now, for my triangle, there are 3 sides, and I have to determine where I'm going to draw it. So I'm going to make an integer array called x vertices. And I need 3. So I'm going to pick one at the top at, let's say, 300. And then I'm going to go down to the left. So I'm going to go to 250, and then I'm going to go over to the right to 350. And I think I could get an equilateral triangle if I play my cards right. So the y vertices. So where do I want this to start? At what height do I want it to start? So remember I said 0 was at the top. This is kind of backwards. So 0's at the top. Let's say I go down to 50 for that top vertex. And I'm going to have the bottom 2 points at 150. So that one and that one. There. Okay. So now, notice already I have 3 lines of code, and all I'm doing is drawing one triangle. You're going to have to incorporate all 4 lines of code, because b.fill polygon, there, if I can spell. I believe I give it the x vertices and the y vertices, and because a polygon is a many-sided shape, when I call the fill polygon, I have to tell it how many sides. You don't have to pass 3 in as a piece of input, because if your method is called triangle, you will know you are going to be having 3 sides to this. So the 3 I am going to include in the fill polygon call. So if we go down and look here, the fill rect, you're going to have a fill polygon, and you'll put 3, but you don't have to pass 3 as input, because it will always be 3. Okay? Did I mess up something? Probably. It compiled. Yay. Okay. Look, I have a triangle. So can you take the code for the triangle, these 4 lines, wrap them all together in what we call a wrapper method, and just say what I want to see? I want to see that call look like this. Triangle. B color.cyan. Isn't cyan pretty? And x vertices, y vertices, and that's it. The buffer area, the color, and the size, the points of my triangle, all 6 of them. And they will come, oh no, I can't do it this way. No, no, no. We can't pass in the whole thing. We have to pass in 300. I'm going to pass it in like this, 350. That's one vertex. 250, 150. That's a second vertex. 350, 150, that's the third. So there are 3 groups. We can't do this because we have to be able to change where those points are. So yes, 1 point of my triangle, 2nd point of my triangle, 3rd point of my triangle, XY, XY, XY. This is what the call should look like. And you will have to set up your arrays in your wrapper method. You're not passing in the arrays. That's probably not a good name. X, I'm going to put value because the vertex is a combination of the X and the Y. So X vertices is really not a good name. So X values and Y values. So you'll have to take the X values from here and the Y values from there, build your integer arrays in your wrapper method with setting the color and making your call, and then try it out. Okay, so this won't run right now because I haven't defined my method for the triangle. I have to write the method first. Okay, so your task is to write a wrapper method for a triangle and see if you can get a line of code like this to actually work. All right, see, so that's what I want you to pass in. So good luck.